You know, there's a silent thief out there, and it might just be stealing our memories. It's a huge global issue, but what if the biggest clue to stopping it isn't in the brain at all, but somewhere, well, somewhere much more surprising? So today we're going to follow the science that connects our minds directly to our ears.
Take a look at this number, 152 million. By 2050, that's how many people are projected to be living with dementia across the globe. And that number, it comes from the World Alzheimer Report, and it's a staggering figure that's just growing day by day.
And we're not just talking about memory loss here. Dementia is a leading cause of disability for older folks, and get this, it's the 7th leading cause of death worldwide. So yeah, the stakes, they just couldn't be higher.
But what if we've been overlooking a major piece of the puzzle? What if a crucial key to protecting our brains has been hiding right in plain sight, or I guess plain sound, in our ears? And that's the fascinating question we're diving into.
So this brings us to our main suspect, hearing loss. Now, I know what you might be thinking. It's super common as we get older, right? But scientists are building this incredibly powerful case that it's not just some minor inconvenience. It might actually be a huge independent risk factor for cognitive decline and dementia.
Okay, so how on earth could losing your hearing lead to dementia? Well, scientists are chasing a few key leads. It could be about social isolation, which we already know is really tough on the brain. Or maybe there's some common underlying issue that causes both. But the big one, the theory with the most steam behind it, is something called increased cognitive load.
And the idea is actually pretty simple to grasp. Imagine your brain is like a computer. If it has to use a ton of its processing power just to figure out what someone is saying through distorted sounds, it's got way less power left over for everything else, like forming memories or thinking clearly. Over years and years, that constant strain doesn't just tire the brain out, it can actually cause parts of the brain to shrink faster.
Okay, so that's the theory. But a theory is just a theory without some solid proof, right? So let's play detective and follow the paper trail of a major scientific review. Researchers literally combed through years of studies to find the absolute strongest evidence, to separate the real signal from all the background noise.
Their search started with this huge number, 351. That's how many potential scientific articles they found at the beginning. They cast this super wide net across all the major research databases, trying to find every single study on this link between hearing and thinking.
And this is where the real scientific legwork kicks in. First, they tossed out hundreds of duplicates or articles in other languages. Next up, they excluded over 100 more that just weren't the right design, like studies on animals. The whole point here was to get to the good stuff, the highest quality evidence from human studies.
So after sifting through more than 350 potential leads, how many were left? Just 6. All that work, all that filtering, to find the 6 most reliable, high-quality reviews that would be the rock-solid foundation for their entire analysis.
All right, so the stage is set. We have our 6 key pieces of evidence. So what did they find? Well, the verdict from these core studies is incredibly clear, and honestly, pretty powerful.
Just look at this evidence, it's really compelling. For instance, a big review in 2018 by Lockery, it found that hearing loss more than doubled the odds of having dementia. Fast forward a few years to 2022, a study by Lau finds dementia is 44% more common in people with hearing loss. You see the pattern here, right? Different researchers, different years, but they're all landing on the same conclusion.
And if you're a visual person, this chart from that Lufry study says it all. See that bar on the left? That's your baseline for normal hearing. Now look at the one on the right for hearing loss. That's not some tiny little jump. We're talking more than double the odds of dementia. The visual just makes it impossible to ignore.
This quote from the Bisogno Review really hits the nail on the head. It confirms hearing loss is an independent risk factor, meaning it's not just a side effect of something else, it's its own thing. But the most important word on this whole slide, the real game changer here, is this one, modifiable. And that changes everything.
Because modifiable, well, that means it's something we can actually do something about. This shifts the entire story from a grim diagnosis to a message of hope. It means there's a path forward, a way to take action. If we can modify the risk, we might just be able to change the outcome.
And check this out. This is the evidence for that hope. One huge study found that people with untreated hearing loss had a 42% higher risk of dementia. That's massive. But for the people in the same study who actually used hearing aids to treat their hearing loss, that increased risk, it vanished.
Poof, gone. Their risk was no different than people with normal hearing.
So let's bring this all the way back to that massive number we started with. Researchers estimate that if we can do things that delay the start of dementia by just one single year, we could cut the number of cases worldwide by 10%. Think about that. Tackling a modifiable risk factor like hearing loss could be one of the most powerful tools we have to make that happen.
So, the science is clear, and it's getting stronger every day. The connection between our hearing and our brain health is strong, the risk is real, but, and this is the most important part, it appears to be modifiable, which leaves us all with one simple but pretty profound question. If protecting our hearing could help protect our minds, what are we waiting for?